the street, and this is one of our very largest packings ever. We're packing bags of hope, which are food backpacks for kids that would otherwise go hungry on weekends. 1 in 4 Arizona children struggles with food insecurity. That's 25% of our population. Upwards of 500,000 kids aren't sure where their next meal is going to come from. He looked down at his dinner plate and let tears roll down his face. Really, he cried at our dinner table. And he said, I watched her walk right up to a big black trash can, reach in. He said she pulled out a piece of pizza, and I can see some faces, some mom faces. And that was probably what mine looked like that night. I thought, how could this be happening in my city and I don't know it? That night, my husband said, all right, we have a hunger problem in our city. I think we should start a nonprofit to help these kids. I think we should call a kitchen on the street, and I think we should do it tonight. Our first year, we partnered with one school, and now we serve 2,000 kids, so we pack about 6,000 bags a month. It's incredible. We moved from our kitchen table to our backyard, to a schoolroom, then to a warehouse. We're making a huge difference academically in the classroom, and I have to believe that just by a healthier life and better education, then they're going to be a success outside the classroom too. During the course of our 5-year partnership with Do Good Live Well, that's equated to 210,000 meals for hungry kids, and make it possible for thousands of children to know they're going to eat this weekend. And to them, that truly turns hunger into hope. Do Good Live
Well! Hello, my name's Janine Sanders, and today I will be going through this webinar on body safety education with you. Okay, let's start. Now, what I wanted to say before I actually began the webinar was that adults are 100% responsible for educating children in body safety. They're also 100% responsible for educating themselves about child sexual abuse. And in no way is a child who has been sexually abused to blame. Sexual abusers are 100% responsible for the abuse of a child. So even though we are teaching children body safety, we as adults take on that responsibility of empowering children. Okay. Now in this session today, we'll be looking quickly at my story. What is body safety? Then we'll go into some pretty scary statistics, talk about grooming, talk about teaching body safety education and what it involves, and look at what, if a child does disclose, what to do when they do disclose, and at the end we'll look at the resources available. Right, well my name, as I said, is Janine Sanders, and I'm a teacher, I'm a mother of 3 daughters, and I'm an author. I am not a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, but many years ago I became an editor of educational materials when I was around 24, 25, and I edited a book by Professor Freda Briggs called Keeping Children Safe. And I thought, you know, this is a fantastic message, and if ever I have children, I'm going to tell them that their body is their body, and I'm going to empower them. And I just thought all parents taught that information to the children. So when I was on school council as a parent, I asked them to implement body safety into the school curriculum. But I seemed to be always put to the bottom of the agenda, and people felt very awkward about this topic. So I decided to use my skills as an author to write a picture book called Some Secrets Should Never Be Kept, which broaches the subject of unsafe touch in a really age-appropriate way so that we can have these conversations with children in a non-threatening and, as I said, age-appropriate way. So I wrote that book. So that sort of began my journey. I also, at that time, I have a neighbour who's in her 70s, late 70s now, and when she was a girl of 12 or 13, she was sexually abused by her father, who told her that basically he was teaching her how to be a good wife, and of course, with no education, she didn't know any different. Then sadly for her, she married an abuser who actually abused her son and her daughter for as long as they can remember. So my neighbour said to me, whatever we do, we need to educate children before the fact, before they are in that perpetrator's web, because once they're in that web, it is very complex. You know, often children, it is someone they know and love and trust, and they have, it moves into sexual abuse. So prevention is actually really easy. It's age appropriate, it's empowering, and it's something we can all do. So that was her message to me, and why I started down this road towards teaching body safety education to children and making the community aware of how important it is. Now, what is body safety? Originally, when I began this 7 years ago, I called it sexual abuse prevention education, but it seemed to me that everybody ran a mile when they heard that term. Because actually, when we talk about body safety with children, we never talk about sex. Basically, why would we? I mean, just as we teach road safety and water safety, we never show children graphic images or talk about graphic concepts with children. It's always age appropriate and, empowering for them. So body safety aims to, as I said, empower children with skills and knowledge that will lessen the likelihood of them becoming victims of childhood sexual abuse. Body safety education teaches children the correct names for their private body parts, the difference between safe and unsafe touch, and not to keep secrets that make them feel bad and uncomfortable, and what to do if they are touched inappropriately. So as you can see, it's quite simple, and it's really isn't a problem to teach to children at all. Professor Freda Briggs, who wrote that book that I described firstly, called How to Keep Children Safe, what she said about sexual abuse is the following. Child sexual abuse is about the abuse of power. It involves the strong and the well-informed using the powerless and the uninformed for sexual pleasure and denigration. So there is the key, the uninformed. So what we need to teach children is, hey, your body is your body. These are your private parts, and absolutely no one has the right to touch them in an unsafe way. Here are some statistics. We believe that 20%, or research tells us that 20% of girls and 8% of boys will be sexually abused before their 18th birthday. Many people will think this is actually quite conservative, and that it's actually more like 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before their 18th birthday. In 85% of cases, some believe up to 95% of cases, the sexual offender is known to the child. So these offenders are in our homes, they're in our families, they're in our communities. They are people that the children know in most cases. Up to 95% of child sexual abusers are male, and up to 1/3 of reported offences are committed by adolescents. We are seeing so much more child-on-child sexual abuse too, because of the easy access to pornography on the internet. We think that the average age is 11 when a child, usually a male, will see pornography, and it is just the graphic content is so overwhelming for children. They don't understand what's going on. It's scary, it's frightening, and sometimes they will outplay that on other children. 50% of those molesting a child under 6 were family members. The most vulnerable age for children to be exposed to sexual assault is between 3 and 8 years. So it is never too early to start teaching body safety to children. It is way too late by the time they are 9 or 10. We should begin as soon as they are able to start speaking about, understanding that their genitals are private places, and we can begin as young as 2. Children who live with a single parent with a live-in partner are at highest risk. They are 20 times more likely to be victims of sexual abuse. So single parents need to be very careful who they invite into their homes. Perpetrators do go where children will be. 73% of child victims do not tell anyone for at least a year. 45% do not tell for 5 years, and some never disclose. We know from many adult survivors that some of them have kept this a secret for their whole lifetime. 1 in 3 adults would not believe a child if they disclose sexual abuse. So think about that. That means when a child finds the courage to actually tell an adult what has happened to them, that it would take telling 3 adults before they would be believed. In 98% of child abuse cases reported to officials, children's statements were found to be true. So we know that children do not lie about sexual abuse. The grooming process. Okay. Grooming is about establishing power over a child to maintain a secret. Grooming is about making sure the child never tells. It can take place over days, weeks, or years. A groomer taking time to groom enables that trust between the abuser and the child and the family to build up. This trust in turn creates opportunities for regular abuse to occur. So the perpetrator is not only grooming a child, they're actually grooming the family to think that they are a trustworthy person, and they'll go to great lengths to ensure that that trust is there. I think we all need to be aware, have our adult radar out for a person who wishes to spend a great deal of time with a child, maybe one particular child, especially one child, pays special attention to that particular child and chooses to spend a lot of their out-of-hours time with children. It's the kind of person who is there at the drop of a hat, can always help you at a moment's notice to take care of the children. And let's face it, we all have very busy lives, and parents with young children are often pushed to find time, and that person who's always there to help is, it's great, but just be aware of it. It could actually be a grooming process. This person will often make the child feel more special than any other child, provide special treats and presents. These treats may be provided without your knowledge and be the first of your child's secrets that they are being groomed to keep. The child will be made to feel as if they are the groomer's confidant. Secrets are the currency of the perpetrator. They rely totally on that child keeping the secret. If they are educated to tell, then, it's more likely that they're really not going to target that particular child. Child sexual abusers will plan their abuse of the child. They will choose a victim very carefully. In fact, they may plan and groom for a number of years before actually making sexual contact with the child. They will plan in detail how they will spend time with the family and the child, and how they will get alone time with the child, and especially what threats they will use on the child in order for the abuse not to be revealed. Ensuring the child keeps a secret is of extreme importance to the offender, as I've already said. If the child does tell, the consequences for the offender are catastrophic. Therefore, they will use whatever means they can for that child to keep the secret. This includes subtly discrediting the child by making them out to be a liar. So if they ever do disclose, they won't be believed. They also work very hard at being liked and actually even loved by the child and the whole family. That is their aim. The child sexual abusers will encourage the child to keep secrets that are at first, as I said, not of a sexual nature. They will encourage the victim into believing that the sexual abuse is actually normal, it's loved-based, and maybe even the child's own idea. That is part of the grooming process. And they may even show them child sexploitation material in order to say, hey, this is normal. This is how you show someone you love them. And as I said, use terror threats and blackmail to ensure the child keeps the secret. They will target busy parents and vulnerable, disadvantaged communities. Abusers will place themselves in positions of authority, often helping families and children with sporting and leisure activities. Sexual perpetrators wish to abuse children, so they will go where children are. And sadly, disadvantaged children who crave love and affection or guidance may be in a more vulnerable position, read the abuse. They will change jobs and addresses frequently in order to avoid detection. Okay, so you can't ask any questions or comments, so we'll move past that slide. Now, on to body safety education. It teaches children the correct names for their private parts, the difference between feeling safe and unsafe, what to do if they are touched inappropriately, not to keep secrets that make them feel bad or uncomfortable, and just general assertiveness, especially in relation to their own body. So that is a fantastic skill to have as a child, especially with bullying. That the child is empowered enough to say, hey, stop, I don't like that. And as we know, bullying is quite, it's rife in many schools, and we need children to be able to stand up for themselves as well. So, body safety education can actually help with bullying as well. Now, our key body safety skills are often taught in daily conversations, especially with parents. There is no sort of time like, okay, we're going to do body safety right now. It's more about things will arise. Let's talk about this. Let's always call our genitals by the correct names. That's a private part. Just bring up these kinds of skills in daily conversation. Of course, with educators and teachers, that's slightly different. We do have a body safety teacher's resource kit at Educate to Empower Publishing, and it has 10 body safety lessons that I've actually written with our resources, and this can be implemented into a classroom. And often teachers say that they are incredibly busy, and that is true. Teachers are incredibly busy, as I know from my own teaching practice. But if a child is being sexually abused or groomed, and they're anxious, they're worried, they have a secret that they can't reveal, or they're being threatened, then they're not going to learn literacy and numeracy. So teaching of body safety is incredibly important and incredibly simple to do. We always use the correct names for the genitals, the penis, the testicles, the bottom. I think it's called buttocks in the US. I'm Australian, so we say bottom. Nipples, breast, vulva and vagina. Also, a child's mouth is also known as a private zone. We really encourage adults not to use pet names, just as we have an elbow, a nose, our hands. We can also call the children's private parts by their correct names without any shame or worry. This way, if a child is touched inappropriately, they can clearly state to you or a trusted adult where they have been touched. We need to start this from a young age, maybe even start when your children are in nappies. Talk about private parts as those under your bathing suit. And there's another important reason why we need to use the correct names for the genitals, because if a child is touched inappropriately and this is brought to court, it actually, if they're using pet names, it can be discounted, and the court, we actually need the children to say clearly where they were touched, and if they use pet names, that as I said, the whole case can be thrown out because they don't actually use the correct terms, sadly. All right, introduce the concept of private in public places. So we know we talk about our private parts, but we also talk about private spaces. So that might be a child's bedroom, particularly older children, the bathroom, the toilet, and public places being the kitchen or the lounge room or the classroom. So, for children, we say it's okay to touch your own private parts in a private space. That's fine. But it's not fine in a public space where there are lots of people around, and it's not fine for people just to come into the bathroom or the toilet, because that's a private place, and that's, it's not correct for someone to just burl into those spaces. So we talk about private and public spaces. We also talk about body boundaries, consent, and respect for children. I talk about a body boundary, which is an invisible space around our body, and we all have them, adults, teenagers, babies, and that if somebody comes inside our body boundary, they actually have to ask our consent. So, for example, if an aunt has arrived and the parent says, "Oh, give Auntie a kiss, you must give Auntie a kiss," well, children have the right to say no to that. So the auntie should actually say, "May I have a kiss?" So we're asking for consent from a very young age. And if the child decides to give the auntie a kiss, that's great. If they say, "No thanks, I'd like, high five or shake your hand," that's great too. Because teaching consent when children are young translates into when they are teenagers or adults, and that people just can't come into their body boundary and just take what they want, basically. So children have the right to their own body boundary, and they have the right to be respected, and they have a voice. Reinforce that if someone does touch their private parts, ask the child to touch their private parts, or shows them images of private parts, that this is wrong. And they must tell a trusted adult straight away. And even though it's an older child or it's an adult saying this is perfectly normal, this is perfectly fine, we need to educate children that actually no, it's not fine, it's wrong, and you need to tell a trusted adult straight away. And teach if someone does touch their private parts inappropriately, they actually have the right to say no or stop. And they need to then tell a trusted adult straight away. And I understand that a young child absolutely may not be able to say no or stop to an adult. I mean, adults find it difficult to say it to each other. And that is okay, but they need to know they go straight to point 2, which is tell a trusted adult straight away. However, it is important to practice what I call a pirate stance, which is legs slightly apart, one hand on the hip, the other hand held out in front of them saying stop or no. And it's very empowering for children to practice that regularly, actually. Help your child to develop a safety network. So why we have the hand there is that we can outline the hand with a pencil onto some paper, and the child can write 3 to 5 adults on each digit that they trust. And this person, these people are someone who would always believe them. So it is the child's choice who they choose, and it should be someone who's accessible, and also one should not be a family member. So it could be a teacher, it could be a neighbour, it could be obviously mum or dad, or an auntie, and sometimes we even encourage them to put the police on one of their safety network, and also child helpline is quite handy as well. But it really is up to the child, the 3 to 5 adults that they choose who are accessible and who they know would always believe them if they were feeling unsafe and had something to tell them. With your child, talk about how it feels to feel safe and unsafe. Children often find it difficult to understand these concepts. So you could give the example of, okay, we're cuddled up on the couch with a book and we're feeling really safe and it's nice and cozy and warm and we feel good. Or an unsafe situation might be, a dangerous dog who is barking and at the child, or maybe they're on the slide and someone's pushed them, or it's too high and they feel unsafe, and what those feelings mean. That leads into our early warning signs, and our bodies are amazing. They tell us, all of us, not just children, adults as well, when we feel unsafe. And this poster here is actually free to download from our website to go through with your child, talking about their early warning signs. And if they do feel unsafe, they need to tell a trusted adult on their safety network straight away. And you can go through these various early warning signs with the children so they know what it feels like to feel unsafe. Always discourage the keeping of secrets. Try to take it out of your language. Use happy surprises, because we know happy surprises will be told. It might be something like, not telling Granny about a surprise birthday party. But it's really important that children, if they are told to keep an unsafe secret or a secret that makes them feel uncomfortable, that they need to tell someone on their safety network straight away. So we try to tell children, like, we actually don't keep secrets, we just keep happy surprises. Discuss when it is appropriate for someone to touch their private parts. So obviously children will need to go to the doctor, they will need to go to the dentist, but both the doctor and the dentist need to ask the child's consent when they say, for example, the dentist could say, may I look inside your mouth? Or the doctor might say, can I have a look at your vagina right now and see where the rubbing is happening, or something like that. Because children will need medical assistance, we understand that. But they also need to know that when a doctor or they're with the dentist, there should be a trusted adult with them at all times. Now, when a child discloses sexual abuse, our reaction is incredibly important. So it's actually crucial to their ongoing and their well-being and their healing. And so often survivors have said to me that when they disclosed and they weren't believed, it was nearly as bad or as bad as the sexual abuse, and some of them just never told again. So when a child does disclose, and as we said before, we know in 98% of cases the child's disclosures are known to be true, it is very important that we are compassionate towards the child and offer them reassurance. So therefore, stay calm. Don't let the child see any shock on your face or any anger, or that you're incredibly upset, as you probably will be inside, but try to stay calm. Reassure the child that you do believe them, that they have absolutely done the right thing in telling you, that they are incredibly brave and courageous, which they are, and reassure the child that they are in no way to blame, absolutely no way to blame. Reassure the child that they are safe and that they will be looked after, and tell them that you will do everything you can to stop the abuse. Do not make any promises, because you may not be able to stop the abuse, but just tell them that you will do everything in your power to try and stop the abuse. And once the child is with a trusted and caring adult, it's best to contact some of the key organisations as listed on our website, or in my book, Body Safety Education, A Parent's Guide to Protecting Kids from Sexual Abuse, which is a really handy book which has all this information in it, and is sort of, if we do want to educate ourselves about body safety and about keeping children safe, this is the ideal book to use. All right, well, body safety education is ongoing. We do need our community to step up for children. We do need them to be involved. I mean, I'm not a survivor of sexual abuse. I'm just a very concerned parent, teacher, who thinks we can do so much more for children in keeping them safe. Please spread the message of teaching body safety. You can do it by simply going to your child's kindergarten and saying, oh, are you teaching body safety? You know, I'm doing it. It's really important for all children. And just spreading that message, or talking to the school and saying, well, you know, we really need to do some body safety. How about we get started? And just spreading that message, how important it is. Because prevention is so, so important. If a child knows from that very first inappropriate, unsafe touch to tell, then their lives are going to be so much different. And if we believe them as soon as they come to tell us, then the abuse stops. It stops right there, and it isn't ongoing. So the important thing is they know to tell from that first inappropriate touch, and the second important thing is that we know to believe them. Now, if you have any ideas for me for posters or blogs or how to share this message, I would really appreciate an email. I'm always open to doing more posters or blogs in order to get this message out. So that would be great. Just send me an email via our website. We do have free posters to download. We have the My Body Safety Rules poster. That's also in a number of different languages as well. It's in Arabic and Persian and Indonesian and Spanish and Vietnamese. So that's fantastic. It's a really good one to put on your refrigerator so that if you do have a perpetrator coming into your house, unbeknownst to you, they will see that you are teaching body safety to your child or children and that your kids are off limits. So it's a very good deterrent. It also starts that conversation with other family members coming in and saying, yeah, we're doing body safety and this is what it involves. We have the early warning signs poster, which is free to download. We have a child safe home poster. So, proudly put that on your refrigerator as well, telling everybody that you teach body safety to the kids in your care. So be proud of it. There's also one for organisations, so put that up in your foyer. So again, people know that you are a child safe organisation, that any perpetrators who may be coming for an interview or going for employment will see that you are a child safe organisation and there is zero tolerance for child sexual abuse. So that's a good poster as well. And finally, I have another poster there on gender equality. I feel this is very important to me that we start using language that is more gender neutral in our classrooms so that there is less inequality and more equality, and that we can just change the language slightly. Instead of always saying, oh, boys take the garbage out and the girls clean the whiteboard, or we say a fireman, we can say a fire officer. Just changing our language slightly to make sure that there's more gender equality in generations to come. These are my books because first and foremost I am an author of children's books. I have My Body, What I Say Goes, with an accompanying activity book, and that book has all basically what we've gone through today in a really child-friendly, age-appropriate way that you can unpack with your child, and it's for ages probably 3 through to 9. And then we have my latest book, which is How Big Are Your Worries, Little Bear? I'm seeing more and more that children are suffering from anxiety, so I felt that there was a need there to talk about that with children. No Means No is about body boundaries and empowering children to say no, and to just giving them a voice, basically. Pearl Fairweather is about gender equality. It's about a very empowered young woman who is the master of her own ship. So that is a mother of 3 daughters. It's one of my favourite books. You, Me and Empathy. I feel in this day of technology, I feel that we're often looking more at our screens rather than each other. So empathy is a learnt skill. So I felt that there was a need for children to learn more about empathy. No difference between us is about gender equality. So in all the big ways, girls and boys, there really is no big difference between girls and boys. We all have hopes and dreams. We all bleed. We all have emotions. So in all the big ways, there really is no difference between us. We're more the same than we are different. I've just published Let's Talk About Body Boundaries, Consent and Respect, and that's a great book to unpack with 4 to 10-year-olds about the idea of consent, which is incredibly important. So there's a lot in that book to unpack. Some Secrets Should Never Be Kept is my first book, and it's used in prevention programs quite regularly, and also with counsellors who feel that her children who are very vulnerable and may need to disclose. It will encourage that. But for a child who's never been sexually abused, that book is just another story, but they feel an incredible empathy for the little boy. But for a child who has been abused, it may well be the catalyst for them to disclose. And it's set in a fairy tale setting, and we often learn from story. Story is a great way to approach difficult topics with children, and body safety education, which I've already discussed with you, that's for parents and teachers. Now, if you want any more information about what we do, there's articles, resources and free posters at www.e2epublishing.info. Please come there, visit us, join us on Facebook. I have a Facebook page with Educate to Empower Publishing, and a Facebook page under Some Secrets Should Never Be Kept as well, which is more of an advocacy page. Now I'm going to leave you tonight with a free little animation called My Body Safety Rules. It's a really great video for children, probably in the range of 2 to 8, and it has all the most important information that they need for body safety education. So thank you very much for listening and being part of this webinar today. I hope you have learnt some more information. So I shall leave you with this animation. Thanks so much.
My body safety rules. 1. My body is my body and it belongs to me. I can say no if I don't want to kiss or hug someone. I can give them a high five, shake their hand, or blow them a kiss. I am the boss of my body and what I say goes. 2. I have a safety network. Every person's safety network will be different. These are the adults I trust. I can tell these people anything and they will believe me. If I feel worried, scared, or unsure, I can tell someone on my safety network how I am feeling and why I feel this way. 3. Early warning signs. If I feel frightened or unsafe, I may sweat a lot, get a sick tummy, become shaky, and my heart might beat really fast. These feelings are called my early warning signs. If I feel this way about anything, I must tell an adult on my safety network straight away. 4. Private parts. My private parts are the parts of my body under my bathing suit. I always call my private parts by their correct names. No one can touch my private parts. No one can ask me to touch their private parts. And no one should show me pictures of private parts. If any of these things happen, I must tell a trusted adult on my safety network straight away. 5. Secrets. I should never keep secrets that make me feel bad or uncomfortable. If someone asks me to keep a secret that makes me feel bad or unsafe, I must tell an adult on my safety network straight away. My body is my body and it belongs to me.